Today, we'll be turning this into this. I'll show you how. Welcome to another crafty episode. I'm Franky, and today we're finally building the Goblin homes. This should be an easy project. There's just a lot of pieces to glue. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell icon to stay updated with future videos. I got some big news coming up you won't want to miss. Stick around till the end of the video to hear why I decided to build the Goblin home the way I did. Without further delay, let's get started. The first thing we want to do is cut out a few windows and the doorway. I chose this cup specifically because of that ring. I plan to utilize it during the build. After that, we can add some PVA glue and start texturing the surface with baking soda. I also draw a stone design on the lip of the cup. I'm using a hot tool for this. After adding the baking soda and allowing it to dry, I then proceed by adding black Mod Podge mix. I even dip the brush in a bit of baking soda to make sure I don't get rid of any texture. I cut out a bunch of tiny bricks out of cheap styrofoam. I basically cut it like an onion, assuring that I get a variety of rectangles out of it. Then it's just a matter of tracing the windows and the doorway with them. An essential step that will save you a lot of headaches later in the project is to make sure that you give a good coverage to these bricks with a good coat of PVA glue. This will solidify every piece onto the house. The foam is just too weak by itself. I cut bigger bricks for the top of the house. Then I start to glue them away again. Make sure to add another layer of PVA glue to those again when you're done. For the inside of the window, I choose to use these little plastic holders that you usually get when you buy tiny cherry tomatoes. I cut out all the pieces that will complement the tree structure I plan to put on top of the house. I almost forgot about the door here. Cheap styrofoam works well. You can always make it thinner to avoid cracking while you bend it, but I'm gonna take advantage of that and add it to the texture. And then I finish it off with a strip of index card. And a bead for the doorknob. From here, I'll show you two different ways you can make the trees on top. You are more than welcome to use my previous technique from my past video, but I think the new ways are actually better, especially if you're concerned about the longevity of the oatmeals. The trunks can be made with a stick and cardboard. Just make sure that one of the sides from the cardboards is peeled off. We can make the roots with paper mache. I allow them to dry somewhat before I start gluing them onto the house. Somewhat fast and simple, but really good results. I'm able to give every house a distinct look because of this. Now onto my favorite method. I personally like using the wire covered with aluminum textured with hot glue. I'm able to get better and more natural looks out of the trees this way. The best part about this new tree craft is that you no longer need oatmeals. We can work with pasta. The pieces are a lot more solid and you don't have to worry about dropping them. If you want to take a more in-depth look on how to make these, check out my previous video on it. Just make sure that you update and use the better material for it. I think it's finally time to start painting this house. I want to make sure this fits well with the Goblin temple. If you haven't seen that video yet, please check it out, and you'll understand why I chose these colors. And like always, make sure to get a great coverage for your base colors before you add any washes or anything. We start off with the usual suspect here, vanilla, then brown for the ground, for the trees. I'm just gonna let this one play for a little bit. I want to make this strips blue. This was one of the main reasons why I used this styrofoam cups. The bricks are the same deal as the temple, and just like in that video, I realized that it wasn't bright enough. So I blend the color with a little bit of vanilla and dry brush the rest of the bricks. To add a little bit more color, I also add some orange bricks. I use different hues for orange. Then we finally hit it with a brown homemade wash and allow that to dry. While that's drying, the ground is ready for some flocking. Sometimes I regret not including a flocking step to the temple I built. I know the goblins are taking care of that, but they're not doing that great of a job. I might correct it and show updated pictures of it later on in my Instagram or something. I'm just gonna take the chance here and brighten up the colors on the grass as well, adding different hues of green and dry brushing it with the yellow. At this point we're gonna do some finishing touches. Metallic window frames. I realize this doesn't make too much sense with the style of the house, but I decided to go with it, and oh my god, look over there, flowers. This I picked up from the dollar store and I had them in storage forever. I thought it was time to put them to use. The flowers will make a nice touch. This will bring it together with the hill video from last week. Check it out if you missed out on it. This should be it for the main build. As you can tell, I based some of the houses I made. I made sure to leave an opening on the bottom to add some LED lights. The goblins in my game believe that nature is balanced by spirits, not gods. It's safe to say that most of the goblins in my world are actually druids. I wanted to incorporate that into the build. That's why I decided to add the trees to the design. I want to incorporate more complicated designs later on, something like a deco tree from the game The Legend of Zelda. But I thought this was a good starting point for now. You also don't have to build a whole village like I did. I'll let you guys know why I did that on a future video I'm planning to make. Overall, I'm extremely happy with the results. The cups had the perfect base for what I wanted out of the craft. There are some things I missed when I put everything together. I realized that to make it all I could fit together, I needed some stone roads, but I didn't want them to be perfect. I wanted to add that nature aspect again. So that's a future video. I know most of the stuff of what I do on the channel isn't necessary for the game, but I do love to put a show on when I DM. And lastly, don't forget to protect your projects, like you see me doing right here. Thank you very much again to the patrons. I had a blast building this. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace!